fact that a man was late because his bus was late, he missed a train connection, or it wasn't his fault that he was late. That didn't make any difference at all to Sink, the fact that you were late.
During World War II, many soldiers faced unimaginable challenges. But for Dick Winters, the commander of Easy Company, one of the most profound moments came not on the battlefield, but after the war had ended. Winters was known for his leadership, his humanity, and his deep sense of respect for both his men and even the enemy. One of the most iconic moments from his story was his decision to keep a German officer's pistol after the surrender. But what was the real reason behind this act? Was it just a trophy of war, or was it something much more profound? During the brutal battles of World War II, especially in Normandy and Bastogne, Winters led his men with distinction. Easy Company was in the heart of some of the most intense combat, and the cost of war was clear. Yet there was one moment that would stay with him long after the war ended. After a particularly fierce encounter, Winters and his men captured a German officer. The officer, following military tradition, offered his weapon in surrender. In Band of Brothers, this moment is portrayed with Winters refusing the pistol. It's a strong symbol of his character, his refusal to take a trophy from the enemy. However, in real life, Winters did accept the officer's pistol. In interviews, Winters explained his reasoning. It wasn't out of pride or a desire to have a symbol of victory. Instead, he explained that the pistol represented something far deeper. He kept it as a reminder of the horrors of war and the cost of human life. Winters saw the weapon not as a prize, but as a reminder of what war did to soldiers, to families, and to entire generations. For him, it wasn't about celebrating victory. It was about remembering the lessons learned from the violence and perhaps a silent promise to never forget the price of that violence. The pistol, which could have been a symbol of conquest and triumph, became a symbol of peace for Winters. He wanted to keep the weapon as a personal reminder that even in the midst of war, humanity must never be lost. As he reflected on his time in combat, Winters often shared that the pistol reminded him of what he had seen and experienced, but also of the responsibility he felt to ensure that such destruction should never be repeated. It was a deeply personal choice, one that symbolized not just the end of his journey in the war, but his commitment to a message of peace for the future. Winters was a man who never saw himself as a hero. He downplayed his own importance, focusing always on his men and their shared experience. However, the decision to keep the German officer's pistol has become one of the defining moments of his legacy. It was a powerful statement that even in the most trying of times, leadership and humanity could still prevail. Winters wanted the pistol to serve as a reminder of the war, but not just the battles or the victories. It was a reminder of the personal toll war takes, the responsibility leaders have to their men, and the importance of striving for peace, even in the face of unimaginable odds.
Winters' decision to keep the pistol was never about glory. It was about remembrance. It was about holding on to a symbol that would keep him grounded in the reality of what had happened. For Winters, the pistol wasn't just a souvenir. It was a marker of the sacrifices made, the lives lost, and the lessons learned. It was a personal commitment to ensuring that the horrors of war wouldn't fade into history without recognition, and that the men who fought would never be forgotten. In the years following the war, as Winters shared his experiences and reflections, the story of the German officer's pistol became a poignant symbol of his leadership and values. It wasn't about victory over an enemy, but about remembering the humanity lost in the process. And as the years passed, Winters' legacy became more than just a story of military success. It became a reminder of the personal responsibility each of us has to ensure that the horrors of war are never repeated. By the end of his life, Winters' story, much like the German officer's pistol, had become a symbol of peace, humanity, and the enduring responsibility to never forget the true cost of conflict. His decision to keep that pistol was not an act of pride, but one of remembrance, a decision that defined his character as a leader and as a man who deeply understood the price of war. Man,
You can tell Winters never really left the war behind. Not even decades later, the dude spent years chewing over what it really meant to lead guys in the middle of all that madness. It wasn't just about barking orders or pulling some tactical genius move. Nah, it was so much deeper. He saw, firsthand, how the mental scars outlasted any bullet wound. Those Easy Company guys, they'd seen hell, lost brothers, somehow pushed through stuff no one should have to. Winters just did his best to keep them together, always looking out for his guys before himself, like some kind of big brother you wish you had.
He talked about it a lot, actually, in his later years, the weight he carried. He felt responsible, not just for winning, but for the ghosts, for the friends who didn't make it. Clutching that German officer's pistol wasn't about being some war trophy collector. It was more like his own way of keeping the nightmare real, making sure people didn't brush it off as just history. That pistol was heavy with memory. It was Easy Company's story, not just as soldiers, but as real, battered humans who somehow held on to their souls. Thing is, Winters got that people in the future would probably learn about World War II like it was just another chapter in some dusty textbook. So, the pistol? It was his way of saying, hey, don't forget this stuff happened. People bled, people broke, and it wasn't just about flags and maps. He wanted the world to remember every gut-wrenching loss, every night spent scared out of your mind, every bit of grit it took just to keep going. That pistol was a piece of all that. But honestly, it was more than just a war relic. It said a lot about Winters himself. The guy believed in mercy. Crazy, right? In a place where mercy was in short supply. With that German officer, Winters didn't let hate win. He saw a chance for something better, a moment where both sides were just men. So, by taking that pistol, Winters was kind of flipping the script. Victory isn't just about crushing the other guy, it's about ending the damn violence for once. Healing, even for a second. War's messed up, though, and Winters knew it wasn't black and white. Keeping the pistol was his way of holding on to the complicated bits, the empathy, the weird moments of grace, even if everything else was chaos. It's like he wanted to remind himself, and everyone else, that conflict isn't just about who wins. It's about the people caught up in the mess, trying to do the right thing when right and wrong are all tangled up. There's something wild about the idea that a pistol could connect two enemies. Winters didn't glamorize what he did. He didn't walk around puffing his chest. He just knew that, deep down, every uniform hides a person with their own pile of misery. That's what set him apart. Honestly, he led with heart, not just strategy. He looked at that officer and saw a guy who probably didn't want to be there any more than he did. And by holding onto the pistol, Winters was sort of nodding to the fact that, hey, maybe we're not so different after all. In the end, that pistol became way more than a souvenir. It was a piece of Winters himself, a reminder of everything he'd seen, endured, and learned. It stood for the weird balancing act between being tough and being merciful, between winning and losing pieces of yourself along the way. Every time he saw it, he probably remembered the price paid by everyone. He's seen it. Winters always said leading Easy Company was the biggest honor of his life, but the pistol? That was his way of carrying their story forward, making sure nobody forgot what those men went through. It was like he was saying, I remember you. I won't let the world forget. And honestly, that's the kind of legacy that matters way more than medals or parades.